look at that. Oh my God.
Yeah, the belt clip. And this is all like real brass.
Yeah, so clearly. It's beautiful. Oh my God, now I really want to make one of these. All right. Hey everybody, Adam Savage with Brandon Allinger from Prop Store here in my cave. Brandon, you guys have a big auction coming up.
We do, yes. We got a big auction November 9th, 10th, and 11th. It's some of our best pieces of the year, what we call the Entertainment Memorabilia Live Auction. And this is a special one because, well, of course you know, this is Aliens.
Yes.
And Aliens gotta be one of the all-time great prop movies, right? Top 10, maybe?
We just did a video in which I painted up the camo on my Colonial Marines armor, and it's cast from Terry English.
Oh,
it's cast from Bill Paxton's original armor.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a really lovely piece. But this, the Welder, this is one in which I had real trouble finding good reference material for this, and it's really prominently shown in the film.
So as far as we know, this is the only one that's known to still exist. It's the only one we've ever seen or heard of. Obviously, there are some production photos, and of course, you can see them in the screen captures, but nobody has ever seen one in the flesh until this showed up. And, you know, again, everything in Aliens is wonderful. The design, the pulse rifles, the smart guns, the armor, the shoulder lamps, the trackers, and the welder. And it plays pretty prominently in the film. You know, this gets used multiple times by Vasquez and Hicks and Hudson, and it's part of the great like gadget vibe that film has and hardware vibe that kind of made it all feel so real.
Well, and so I mean, I think this is a real TIG Welder shroud, right there. But the surrounding pieces are all clearly handmade out of brass. This is hand brazed and assembled out of brass by the original prop maker, and that looks like it folds over with a little relief there to not bend that part.
Yep.
I'm aware that I think the Aliens prop makers know this part, and I have this is a Hama camera grip. And this is not the right model, but it's close.
You can see it's exactly the same shape. Yeah, so you've impressed me with that because I did not know what this was made out of. So the fact that you not only knew, but had one here already is pretty darn cool.
Well, so you can also actually see, if you look at it close up, you can see where the trigger was that they buried it and filled it.
Observation.
And if you look on the inside, you can actually see the trigger.
Yeah.
So they just buried it inside, and you can see they stuck a little piece of styrene in there to like wedgie poo it, and then they filled it. So this is not even cast. This is the original part.
Right, they just worked with the black plastic. Yeah.
That helps support that if there's another one of these, maybe it was just a stunt, but that like they didn't have a production line for these.
Right. Yeah, and you know what you were saying about the brass work up here, you know, sometimes people just assume that all film props are going to be just knocked out real quickly in a garage and it's going to be cheaply thrown together. But that's not always the case. I mean, they frequently would go out to specialist vendors like a real brass worker and say, hey, we need this made up nicely. And I mean, that's high quality work, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's not a hobbyist or fan work. That's someone who really is a pro in their trade and knows what they're doing.
Oh, this makes me really want to make this prop now.
I don't know if anyone's ever done a good replica of it or not.
Oh, I'm sure. Look, the Aliens prop guys, the Aliens prop community is.
They're pretty rabid.
They're deeply rabid.
Yeah.
But now that I'm seeing this up close, I'm definitely. Oh wow! Wait a second.
There's something going on in the.
Yeah. So I think that's actually. Yeah, that's a TIG welding collet there for, so this is the head of a TIG welder here. And even this part, which looks like that's rubber. I won't stress it to pull it back off again. But they definitely used a part of a real TIG welder for that headpiece. So
then following that through, do you think that this could have been a practical prop that could have produced a flame?
No, I mean, unless that they had, no, it doesn't look like it. Because in order to do, you'd want both a gas line and like a heavy duty insulator coming out of there, right? Because you're going to feed a ton of electricity through it.
Okay.
So it doesn't look like it.
Yeah.
And I think I remember looking, when you see the extreme close-ups of it, it's always an extreme close-up of the tip, not someone. Okay.
So it's just a real welding unit. It's not this prop.
I could be wrong though.
It'd be interesting to go look at how they did that with clever editing.
Also, the color.
Yeah,
shall we talk about the color? The controversial Aliens color?
Alien color is something, there's probably more discussion about the color in this movie than anything else. If you just Google Aliens, it's all about the color. So this color is, you know, potentially the color that was on the pulse rifles. And of course, the pulse rifle is one of those mythical props that people are always studying, examining, breaking down, debating.
Okay, wait right there. I'm just going to bring my pulse rifle out.
Okay, see?
And we didn't even cover this
See, there
on
was a pulse
Tested.
rifle within 5 feet there.
No, well, I mean, because we were talking about it earlier, but I recently, with my friend Victor Broadley, did a tremendous amount of work on this beautiful pulse rifle I have with mostly real gun parts. But after looking at endless photos of production, I believe that this brown that you can see, in this, it's like clearly brown. I believe that this is the color of the guns in the film, and that the lighting makes the pulse rifles look green sometimes because of the color balancing. But I think that they're brown.
I mean, the interesting thing with this is actually a very similar color, except this is sort of, I would call it brown red, whereas this is brown green.
And they're almost identical values. That's the thing that's really impressive, is they have almost the same light dark value, even though they're slightly different colors.
So the Aliens fans and people who have studied it, it's, they speculate, it's like, were other hand props like this welder, were they painted the same color as the pulse rifle, or are they slightly different because one guy was building pulse rifles, someone else was building welders? Ultimately, we don't know. It's a sort of a fascinating debate. What I'm confident is this is the original color for this prop.
Yeah, clearly.
Is it the exact same brown-green that was on everything? Hard to say,
I also really dig the belt clip. This is, again, a custom piece of brass, very carefully and artfully bent. Again, I think you're right. Like, this is a real brass craftsperson understood making this exactly right. I didn't know that they had a clip for your belt.
Yeah, neither did I. But that's sometimes the neat thing about that era of filmmaking too. And of course, this movie made in England, shot at Pinewood Studios, famous Pinewood Studios, and I'm sure all the props were made there in England. And sometimes there wasn't necessarily a prop making industry. So again, they would go out to real world people, like people who worked in the automotive industry. I know they talk about it was a race car body fabricator who built these shrouds and casings for the pulse rifles. It could have been someone like that who did the work on the welders as well.
Famously, R2-D2 was built by Out of Work Aerospace Engineering Company because apparently the British aerospace industry had undergone a real contraction in the mid-'70s, and those guys were available.
Yeah, and you can see it. I mean, you've seen those things. It's like they're beautiful. The really thin aluminum, all welded together, very precise.
And it was recently made clear to me by a fellow prop nut job, as I am one, that R2 is not welded together. He's brazed.
Okay.
It's aluminum brazing. And I have aluminum brazing rods, and they're really weird to use. They're hard to use. It's hard to get right, the temperature and the cleaning your parts and pieces. But yeah, the original R2 is made like a piece of jewelry.
Right. Yeah. And they built 7 of them. So it's, it's
those pictures from Norwick Engineering of the original silver ones are some of my favorite behind the scenes photos ever.
Yes. Yeah.
I just wish there was more of aliens behind the scenes.
And it's interesting, like that's a good point. I mean, there's 2 or 3 photos that exist of the welders that were taken during productions. They're in the books and things.
Right.
And that's it. Other than that, you have screenshots and production photos until now when this one shows up. And this came in with a couple of other Aliens pieces that are also in the auction. There's a set of Hudson's webbing. There's one of Hudson's knives, which is very cool. It's a real world knife, but it's do the thing with the knife.
Oh, it's that one.
So that's cool. And all this came in from a production source who's had this material for a long, long time. So
it looks like there was a bit here that
like
got
logo
or a button that got broken off at some point.
Yeah, I could see that.
And it also, I mean, to be fair, it looks like it was put on after the piece was painted, which would explain why it snapped off so easily. But it could be like a detail that Cameron was like, you know what, make a little another thing over there.
Yeah,
you never know.
Yeah, and kind of the perfect size. Just needs a little display stand to hold it up, and it's good to go.
Oh yeah, it'd be neat to do like a section of a door.
Like you're welding it.
With the alien claw coming through.
There you go. The builder in you is coming out.
It totally
the ideas are going off.
I get especially excited when you tell me that this is the first complete one you've ever seen in the wild, because these pieces are not just great pieces of film history, but like for those of us who like replicating them, they can finally answer questions we've had all these years from looking at screenshots from all these different angles.
Yeah, and it's a little bit of like an archeological study to go like, okay, we used to think it was this, but now that we've seen it from a new angle, we understand it's actually that.
Yeah.
And for us, we talk a lot with collectors about what they might hope to find. People go, oh, this is my dream prop, or have you ever seen this? And when something like this shows up that's never been seen before, it sort of gives you hope that there may be other things, other treasures that are hidden in attics, garages, barns, rental houses, whatever it might be.
You hear 'em?
That could come
Yeah.
out in the future. You know,
Yeah.
and that is the most fun for us, is when something new is discovered that hasn't been seen before. There's no other examples out there like this welder. It's a special thing.
What a wonderful piece. Brandon, thank you so much for bringing it in here.
Hey, I knew you'd appreciate seeing this one. It's a
So much.
great hand prop.
Oh, I want to weld with it. Oh, I could make a real working one.
There you go. One day build.
One day. One day. Someday.
Yeah.
A someday build.